Congress has been questioning some of the top dogs at tech giants, including Facebook and Google, in regard to foreign money being used for political ads here in the United States. Now, this all has to do with Russian meddling in the election, namely some of the ads that were going viral on Facebook during and even after the election. And so there was a question as to whether or not tech giants like Facebook, Google, and Twitter would stop accepting foreign money from foreign countries in regard to US election ads, right? So any type of ad that has to do with American politics. And it seems as though they're very hesitant to refuse that money, even though there are laws that should prevent them from doing so. So Facebook and Google declined under repeated congressional questioning Tuesday to commit to stop taking Russian rubles and other foreign currencies as payment for American political advertisements, despite federal election law prohibiting payments from foreign nationals. Now, Al Franken was the main senator who harped on this particular issue and this particular question. So I'm going to share a little bit of that dialogue with you. He asked the following: people are buying ads on your platform, meaning Facebook in this case, with rubles. They're political ads. You put billions of data points together all the time. That's what I hear these platforms do. They're the most sophisticated things invented by man ever. Google has all the knowledge that man has ever developed. You can't put together rubles with a political ad and go like, those two data points spell out something bad. And he was referring to Google in this case, not Facebook. But he did ask the same question to Facebook, and they were hesitant to say that they would stop taking foreign money. And so at that point, Colin Stretch says the following: it's a signal we should have been alert to, and in hindsight, it's one we missed. And he said, okay, yeah. Will Facebook commit to not accepting political ads paid for by foreign money in the future? And Colin Stretch said, Senator, our goal is to require all political advertisers, regardless of currency, to provide documentation and information that they're authorized to advertise. So some are interpreting that as Facebook and other tech giants trying to avoid answering the question directly. But it is kind of interesting because they are able to do like facial recognition of photos. Like the things that you see on social media tech-wise are insanely impressive. Why is it so hard for them to raise a red flag when they see advertisements, political advertisements being paid for with foreign money?
So, as always, I'll state our conflict of interest here. Google and Facebook are among our two top partners at TYT. And as is often, not always, I'm a little bit more lenient of Google and Facebook's position, and take it with a grain of salt for the reasons I just stated, right? But I think I'm trying my best to be honest about evaluating this. Look. First of all, I think there's a lot of bitterness in the Democratic Party about the Russians stole the election, Russia stole the election. Look, I think there's some truth to some of that. They certainly tried to influence the elections, as we just saw with the arrests, and I think that's outrageous, and I'm glad that Mueller did all that. But that's not the only reason that Hillary Clinton lost the election, and They try to make it seem like that, and they're partly trying to blame everyone under the sun. Facebook did it, Google did it, we shouldn't have taken ads. But look, it's easy to say in hindsight, but I remember during the election, nobody was talking about Russian or other ads going into Facebook or Google. So now in hindsight, we're blaming them and saying, oh, okay, you should have known because it was in rubles. Wait, Facebook gets a lot of advertising in all sorts of different cash from all across the world. Now, they do have a responsibility to make sure that foreigners are not paying for political ads in America. That is a heavy responsibility, and they should take it seriously. And I hope that they do going forward. So, but just because it's foreign currency is a fair tip-off, and that's certainly something that the algorithm should look at, right? But it's not necessarily 100% determinative, and I just don't think all of this is nearly as easy. And this is my bias from running a digital network. Everybody thinks like, oh, everybody's got everything figured out. It's not that easy. You've got to put a lot of engineers on it. And then once you find a problem, then you got to fix it, and it takes some time.
Right.
And so I think that they're becoming a bit of a scapegoat here. but I do want him to take every precaution, of course.
Moving forward. So
yeah.
I want to give you guys a little more context so you understand why this type of questioning took place. Now, there is real concern about foreign countries like Russia trying to influence US voters. And so as a result, members of Congress are considering legislation that would essentially regulate social media sites like Facebook or Twitter or search engines like Google. Now, they don't want that, understandably so. These tech giants do not want that regulation, which is why they've agreed to testify to get these questions or answer these questions by members of Congress. But this isn't about punishing them for what already happened. This is about what is going to be done to prevent it in the future. So I think it's an interesting question as to whether or not Congress should get involved. But I also want to quickly comment on what you said, Cenk, about how Democrats are too obsessed with this component of the story. Just going back to the whole Manafort arrest and possible Russian collusion, I agree that that is an important thing to investigate, but I find it fascinating that when you hear from the Democratic establishment, they only focus on that because they want to use that as an excuse for why Hillary lost, right? But there's another component that I think is much more interesting, which is, did Donald Trump have shady financial deals with the Russian government?
Yes.
That is the most important part to me, right? Because if there is a gigantic conflict of interest there, then that means that he's essentially a puppet for Putin, okay? He will do anything and everything to appease him, so he gets out of whatever money he owes or whatever financial issues he's having with lenders in that country. So, but they never talk about that. I never hear them talk about it. It's all about collusion, collusion, collusion. Yes, it's important. I'm not saying don't focus on that at all, but I think it's telling that the Democratic establishment solely focuses on that component.
So that's a great point by Anna, but that I'd never heard before. Look, it's because if Trump had a financial deal with the Russians, even if it stretches back years, and him winning and then lifting sanctions is some sort of payback, almost exactly as Manafort and Gates did and were arrested for on Monday, on a separate deal. Well, that's a much bigger story and a way better way to get Donald Trump out of office. But that does nothing to vitiate their concerns about the election.
That's right.
That's why they're obsessed with Facebook and Google. You guys sold the ads you shouldn't have sold when we could have won if you just let us go back on TV and spend all our money on TV. And if you just let us keep doing the status quo, we would have won, Yeah, okay, that's fine, I get it, you're bitter. But let's focus on the real issues. And I'm not saying that this is not a real issue. It is, and they should definitely look to correct it. But using it as a scapegoat is not helpful to anyone. And I think that if you actually cared about the country and actually cared to resist Donald Trump, you'd focus on the deeper ties that he had with Russia.
Right, because that influences more than just the Democratic Party or any political party. It has an impact on every American because it means that we have a president who's not going to really look out for the best interests of this country, but the best interests of Vladimir Putin, because he might, by the way, this is my speculation, right? We need evidence, we need an investigation into that. But he might owe money there, significant amount, because he couldn't get loans here in the United States because he went bankrupt so many times. Right,
and it's, by the way, it's not that there is no evidence on it, there's a lot of circumstantial evidence. What you need is direct evidence from an investigation.
Exactly.
So by all means, go forward. Watch the Young Turks commercial-free, download it or stream it, watch it any way you like at tytnetwork.com/join.